Families of such annihilated in the Grenfell rig flame. Leftward, an investigation in burst into tears following a live video of the shine was shown out of a precautionary. One female was told to include compressed external the listening following vision the live video, that turned on length shot of within the flaming house. An investigation formal apologized, proverb a precautionary framework had unsuccessful. The other day has been devoted to commemorations of such annihilated, consisting 6 members of one household. A nephew of one of the 72 victims told the bereaved requested this true and such in force must hear to our stories and find out of yours mistakes. Kareem Musali, whose gaffer Hesham Rahman lived on the 23rd story, gained a permanent applause of some loved ones in the chamber while he said the investigation, we've been censored quite, he's our period, if you love it or no, you include to hear. A live video on the Jokair household begun in clips of the flame in that human beings could be seen at windows enclosed by flames and screams could be heard. Among 20 and 30 human beings leftward the chamber and wails could be heard external. The investigation at the Millennium Gloucester Inn, southward Kensington, suspended time the man who compressed acquired care treat. St. Bernard Richmond QC, who is guideline the presentations by bereaved household members, told he was disappointed a precautionary had not been recite out up the movie was shown. He told it had been a lively day and a framework the investigation had put in location for precautionary of disturbing content had unsuccessful up the special live video was shown. While the listening renewed, Mr. Musali told on a early trip to his gaffer the rays had been break and the solitary stairs was tight. He told, I couldn't assist but believe how on land would my gaffer flee if down there was a flame. Hissam Jokair, who lose his mom, sibling-in-law and 3 nieces in the shine on June 14, 2017, had oversaid the investigation how he could just look impotently as they did. Mr. Jokair told the deaths of his mom Syria, 60, sibling Nadia, 30, her man Bassem Jokair, 40, and their daughters Mirna, 13, Fatima, 11, and 3-year-old Zainab was in brutality. He told he had ever had a bad sense on the house. Mr. Jokair told while he got to the stage the house was fully covered in flames and he just had to stay down there for several hours observe them all burn up to die. He told his mom, who arriving of Lebanon as a adolescent in the 1970s, was fond type and patient time his sibling and her man, who lived 2 doors off of her in the unit, were really famous and difficult working. He told his eldest niece, Mirna, had an great feeling of humor, favorite kind of sports, piece of music and high school and requested to be a physician or a attorney. His sibling Sazam, who lived in their mom in the rig, as well tell of her sorrow. She told she controlled to say to Bassem on the telephone for the flame, addition, its at first thoughts were to assure me. He said me all was well, although he was captured in my household in a flaming house. Laugh fills the chamber for cigarette lighter moments of the tributes, as household members remember fun stories or traits of their favorite ones. But the burst into tears go on to stream as such read emotion tributes fight to support poise through their statements. The supporting and sympathy to such speaking is powerful, and the auditorium shows gratitude for their courage in ovation. As the at first day had already observed, the overall topic so far is how unintelligible their deaths were and the requirement, as one household term put it, to discover out the true. The other day of the investigation as well heard of the man of Maria del Pilar Burton, who is recognized as the definitive of the 72 victims. Mrs. Burton, 74, who had imbecility, dead in January following her public health degraded next the flame. In an emotion homage, Nicholas Burton told it took off her virtue and all we had in the planet. Mrs. Burton, named as Piley, was unborn in Spain in the 1940s and was one of the really at first residents in Grenfell rig. Mr. Burton, who was in his woman for 34 years, said the investigation she was an emergency female. He told, she was a distinctive, nice, extraordinary man before the tragic had undertaken it off. As well commemorated were Rania Ibrahim, 30, and her daughters Fathia, 5, and Hania, 3, who lived on the 23rd story of the house. Rasha Ibrahim told her sibling excited to the UK of Egypt in 2009, but the couple remained really shut. In a declaration recite to the investigation by an translator, Mrs. Ibrahim told, "It is so essential for me to know how I include lose my favorite sibling time my family include lose their slight kin." A homage to Debbie Lamprule, a security official at Opera Holland Garden, of her mom told the 45-year-old was ever amusing. Miriam Lamprule told she was deprived out of her child and she thick felt a portion of her had been torn of. Loved ones of all 72 victims will be taking into account the opportunity to mark favorite ones for the investigation, that will see in all the deaths. Families are creature taking into account as length as they requirement to speak the investigation on their favorite ones via a mix of speech, pictures and videos.